What makes a space a landmark? One can argue it is a grandeur of a building that makes it special. Or we can say it is the historical significance that gives it purpose. One thing these all have in common is the place's connection to people, those who built it, those who use it, and those who remember it. A space has meaning because of the people who interact with it, whether it is a symbol of a previous time or a space for connecting to each other in the present. This is the tale of two parks in St. Louis, Missouri, Fairground and O'Fallon. In 1856, what became Fairground Park started out as the Agricultural and Mechanical Fair. It featured exhibit halls, a 3-story galerium or chicken palace, a horse racing track, and an amphitheater that had grandstand seating for thousands. During the Civil War, the amphitheater became a Union Army hospital. For that time, the park was called the Benton Barracks, and soldiers and refugee slaves made use of it. There's no record of who lived in this cottage or what they were doing here. The best guess is that this was a caretaker's cottage, and the groundskeeper and his family lived here. There were many couples who walked through this park over the years, and there are no records of them either. There is a beautiful lake in Fairground Park. This park's history is reflected in the changing racial balance of the surrounding neighborhoods. The neighborhood around Fairground Park was primarily white. For many years, the fight to keep the neighborhoods white was accomplished through zoning and pricing. There was even a picnic license required to come and enjoy the park. One of the most iconic landmarks in the area can be seen from miles down Grand Avenue. It is the Grand Center Water Tower and is 154 feet tall. It is believed to be the largest Corinthian tower in the United States. The tower was built in 1873 when Grand Avenue was still a dirt road. While it is called a water tower, few people know what it has to do with water. It is called a standpipe water tower. It was designed by architect George I. Barnett. The purpose of this sort of water tower was to control the water pressure in the city's water pipes. It was no longer needed and put out of service in 1912. Now, it is an ornamental, iconic landmark, and the Urban League funded its refurbishment in 2020. In 1913, the amphitheater at Fairground Park was replaced with the city's first public swimming pool, the largest of its kind at the time. The pool could accommodate 10,000 people. It was also the first in the northern state to be formally restricted to whites. Other building laws were put in place to keep black people out of newly built subdivisions around the park. Such ordinances were struck down by the Supreme Court in 1917 in Buchanan versus Worley, a case about a neighborhood in Louisville, Kentucky. The law was that public places like pools were to be integrated. But the policies of the city of St. Louis did not follow the letter of the law, but what some referred to as community standard. In 1949, the mayor ordered the pool be open to all. On June 21st, about 30 black children came to swim at the Fairground Park pool. Tragically, This led to an actual race riot of thousands of people that went on into the night. Miraculously, no one was killed, but people on both sides were seriously hurt. The mayor immediately closed both the fairground pool and another one on the south side of the city at Marquette Park. No one was able to swim. In 1950, the pools were reopened as desegregated after a federal court ruling. But the Fairground Park pool was closed and filled in a few years later. In 1964, a much smaller pool was built and still exists. About 10 years ago, herons and egrets moved on to the island in the center of the O'Fallon Park lake bringing. The birds appreciate that it is stocked with fish. The park is also home to over 200 species of bees. In 2012, a Back to Nature grant in a collaborative effort that included AmeriCorps, Outdoor Youth Corps, Brightside St. Louis, and Missouri Botanical Garden, and the City of St. Louis did a lot of work to clean up O'Fallon Park. In 2013, the O'Fallon Park Rec Complex YMCA was built, and this red brick building has become a community hub for meetings and recreation. They bill themselves as the leading nonprofit committed to strengthening the St. Louis community. The Boys and Girls Club runs camps and classes here. Circus Harmony started teaching here in 2019. The once beautiful boathouse at O'Fallon Park had fallen into complete disrepair. Boats have not been in the lake since 1970. In 2020, the boathouse color was repainted with a color choice chosen by students at nearby Yeatman Middle School. The main architectural site at Fairground Park is the castle wall that can be clearly seen from Grand Avenue. But few know why there is a castle there. After the Civil War, the agricultural and mechanical fair resumed, and they added a zoo. The bears were the main attraction. The castle is the last remaining wall of this past popular attraction, the Bear Pits. In the mid-1891, the animals were sold and the zoo closed, and a new one opened in Forest Park. This wall stands as a memory of the centerpiece of this park, which was the centerpiece of this neighborhood. Neighborhoods change. Years later, this area that white residents once fought to keep black people out of is now basically all African American. Fairground Parks slowly fell into disrepair. It is not as active as O'Fallon Park, although there are people hoping to change that. The Fairground Park Lake is stocked with fish by the Missouri Department of Conservation, and people do fish there. Both Fairground and O'Fallon Parks have places for basketball. Fairground even has a roller skating pad and fitness trail. O'Fallon has tennis courts and a handicap-accessible playground. These parks are still serving their communities, especially O'Fallon Park, which is a centerpiece of community gathering as it was designed to be. As was the case when these two parks were founded in 1908, today, in 2022, these vast emerald green spaces still serve their communities. Despite the COVID pandemic and the gun violence pandemic in St. Louis, children and families who call these neighborhoods home continue to enjoy these places and create new history here.